the subframe.
All right, so for Alex's engine, we're gonna be using the factory motor mount brackets and motor mounts. Unfortunately, we can't get the BDE low profile mounts that we usually use. Alex does actually want to have more of a comfortable Z32. So this will make it easier to do that with the factory liquid filled motor mounts. What we do have to do, since we're putting in bigger turbos, is we're gonna have to modify these brackets. So we'll do a little before and after. So we're gonna have to shave down on the right-hand side for the wastegate actuator that gets closed, and then also for the larger inlet piping, we're gonna modify that as well. Something you have to do when you're using the factory mounts and brackets, okay? But we do get to keep more of that nice comfort feel. The low profile mounts are really nice overall, but you do have a higher durometer urethane, so you are gonna get a little bit more of that noise, vibration, and harshness. So the NVH is what you'll see that term used, NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. I'm gonna talk about our stainless steel oil lines for Z32 turbos. We came out with these back in 2004. We found the need once we were starting to get the new Garrett ball bearing turbos out there, like those from Jim Wolf, using the 2860 RS Disco Potatoes. And we noticed that some of the turbos would smoke, either because somebody changed the lines entirely and they didn't put a restrictor, and the factory restrictor size, which is about 55 to 65 thousandths, just wasn't good enough. It wasn't small enough. So ball bearing turbos require a lot less oil than a thrust bearing turbo. So we've got our restrictors. There's one that mounts on each center section, and we've got the appropriate size length. So this is the shorter side for the driver side. You will use the factory banjo bolt on that side, right behind the AC compressor bracket. And then our longer side, same thing, we've got our restrictor here, and then we've got our 90-degree fitting that goes directly into the block. So we'll show you how we install these the way that they should be installed, because I've seen people install them all sorts of different ways, and it really should be installed in a particular fashion. So we'll get started. We have our exhaust manifolds on the VG30, so we're going to basically install our 90-degree fitting. So this is an 1/8 inch BSPT British pipe thread, and then we have our AN fitting on the other side. So this is what's going to go into our block. All right, guys, so this is the right-hand side of the engine, passenger side for the US spec cars, and our fitting is gonna go right into there, okay? Again, it's 1/8 inch BSPT, so it threads right in. And before we install it, we're just gonna apply a little bit of silicone, making sure you don't get any silicone inside, because if that ends up in your turbo with that restrictor, you will destroy your turbo. So you wanna be working in a clean environment, and make sure you don't over silicone. So we're gonna use our Nissan 3-bond gray. And we're just gonna put a little bit on the threads and just go around. You don't need to go crazy, okay? Making sure you don't get anything in there. I'm gonna start it with my hand. And what we're looking for is we want it to be pretty tight So you're gonna have to gauge if you can go another turn, because you don't want the fitting ending up, you know, any other direction except just going down. So you basically want it in the 6 o'clock position. I like to put this fitting in first. That way you don't have your turbo in the way. And once you get it nice and tight, and you get it in that position just like that. So this is going to give you just enough room to get your transmission bolt in once you get your trans in. And then you'll have your own line going down, up, and into the turbo. So we'll demonstrate that once we get our turbo all set up and installed in there. And then we'll move on to doing the other side as well. Okay. We've got the Sport 700s Gen 2 GTX version here. These are going to go on Alex's setup. 6.4 turbine housing. It's the way we usually get it for the VG30. Anything bigger than that, you're just going to get a bunch of unwanted lag. We get to have our 2-bolt flange pattern, so we can use our inlet piping. You could use the factory inlet piping, but that would totally defeat the purpose of going with a bigger turbo. You can't let it breathe. So these are genuine Garrett turbos. The compressor housings are modified for the factory 3-bolt outlet flange. We have adjustable wastegate actuator arms. These are preset for roughly 13, 14 pounds. We always like to double check them once we get them installed. We also do it on the bench just to make sure. The right-hand side's a little tough to get to, but it's doable. It's just easier to do it off on the bench. So these are really badass turbos. These Gen 2 GTX can easily make over 800 wheel. We've gotten about 850 wheel using these. And the best part is you really don't have much lag using these. So there are other bigger turbo options out there, but you're just gonna increase the lag and really gonna be at the limit of what the block can actually do. You can actually start to get a bunch of movement in the crankshaft and the girdle, and you can split the block in half. And you can ask us how we know, because we've done it. So these are really good turbo, all around use, just awesome turbos. So we'll be keeping the power level again on this setup right around 600 wheel. We're not looking to break any records. Just have a really, really cool, efficient street Z32 that's going to be used on the road course. All right, so we wrapped up the 2015 Nismo Z with the AAM twin turbo kit. We've got on our dyno chart here, 91 and E85, 91, made 508, 414 foot-pounds of torque with just a little bit over 10 pounds of boost. And with E85, we got this thing up to 678, 508, but you know, we are at the limit of everything fuel system wise. So we have gone ahead and just turned it down just a hair. That was almost 15 pounds of boost, so 14. So we'll lower that just to be on the safe side. Our injectors are maxed out. They're only the 1050 cc, so especially on the street, it's gonna lean out a little bit more. We wanna make sure we're below that threshold. So all in all, it did super, super well. Torque is right around 500 foot-pounds. I try to keep those connecting rods happy since they're stock. And yeah, it did really good. So I'm happy with the results, and customer is too.